That's great. Well, thanks, Dirk. Okay. Well, in Wednesday's issue of Quality Digest Daily, we read an article from Mike Micklewright titled Lean, Quality, and Risk-Based Thinking in ISO 9001-2015. Now, much of the content in this article is taken from Mike's two-part risk management training video set, which is available now. In fact, it's officially released just today. It's on demand for your viewing pleasure online at www.360performancecircle.com, and 360 Performance Circle, as many of you know, is Quality Digest's training division. And we have lots of great content on there, including Mike's entire Lean video training series, numbering about 20 episodes so far. And there's more to come later this year.
That guy talks a lot.
He does. So do we. That's okay. Well, in this article, Mike addresses ways that those who are first looking at risk-based thinking as a part of ISO 9001-2015 can begin to understand these concepts and apply them for the good of their organizations. The piece explains mistake proofing, the proper way to complete a failure mode and effects analysis, and Hoshin Kanri, or strategic policy deployment. So, to chat further with us about lean, risk, and ISO 9001, we're happy to welcome Mike Micklewright back to the show. Mike, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Good to see you guys.
Thank you. You're looking good. Thank you for being here from Chicago. Well, Mike, you are a lean trainer, but ISO 9001 usually falls under the realm of quality, and risk, as we're talking about it here, falls really under ISO 9001. So the question is, what can lean tell us about risk that the other disciplines really can't?
I thought I'd put a pause in there since I talk so much.
Thank you.
Nice.
I appreciate that. That was nice of you.
Right. Sorry. I know I had you guys worried there for a second.
No.
And what does lean have to do with risk? Well, you know, lean is, as so many of us know, it's so focused on developing the right culture, right? And it's not tools-based, but it's very culture-based with a lot of tools, or it should be at least. And as such, you know, we develop this Kaizen culture, this continuous improvement culture. That's our focus. That's what we need to do. And we do that by the involvement, getting everyone involved in the organization. That's a key principle, is everyone's involvement in trying to reduce problems and prevent problems and mitigate risks and the whole bit. And so many studies have shown that the more you involve people, the more motivated they are. And of course, the more motivated people are, the less the absenteeism is, the less likelihood of a strike occurring. There's more motivation to make improvements, and people stay at the job a far longer period of time. That being said, that reduces the risks of the organization. They're more predictable. They know what they can produce. They're not surprised by events because everyone is happy and involved, and pleasantly involved. And so developing a lean culture reduces the company-wide risk that so many organizations face. So that being said, the other focus, of course, is the constant reduction of waste. And when we reduce waste, we really are reducing the likelihood of risks occurring. We're mitigating those risks. So whether it's waste such as excessive inventory or overproduction, when we have that, when we have excessive inventory, what does it lead to? Well, it leads to less flexibility, obsolescence of goods. And when we have less flexibility and obsolescence of goods, that makes our delivery times and our lead times much less predictable to our customers, thus increasing the risks of not pleasing our customers, not satisfying them. So risk, everything that we do in lean, and granted, like you said, quality seems to be associated with risk and risk management, but everything that we do in lean is definitely mitigating risk throughout the entire organization at the highest levels and at the detail levels within the organization.
Mike, in the series, and I think we actually have a clip because I want to kind of show a little bit of this, the quality of this. In the series, you do a really nice job, I think, of showing, and people can see it there, showing it in a clear and a graphically engaging way exactly how a user should approach filling out an FMEA, and there's the form right there. So what's the result of that process in a general sense? In other words, I mean, from your perspective, what does an FMEA, filling out an FMEA, that process do for an organization?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because FMEA has been around for a very, very long time. Even before the term lean was coined, FMEAs existed, and they were introduced back in the aerospace industries back in the 60s. So they've been around for a long time. Many industries, automotive, aerospace, food equipment, et cetera, pharmaceutical, have required FMEAs to be done. And now we're going to start to see let's say a reemergence of FMEA and the tool itself. And hopefully it'll be deployed much more effectively than it has been in the past. Some organizations just haven't done a good job at deploying FMEAs and gaining the true benefits. But of course, so now with the new standard, ISO 9001:2015, and the increased emphasis on risk and risk management, sometimes these tools like FMEA are going to be very, very helpful. And in FMEA, of course, we're identifying the failure modes and the effects on the customers of those failure modes. And then we determine causes, and we develop a ranking system, and we have a rating system so that we can prioritize where our focus should be, where we take actions. And we do that because we're looking at, within a product or within a process, we're looking at what are those risks, what are the effects of the customer, to the customer, and how can we mitigate those? And so the FMEA tool is just a tool that can help mitigate so many of our risks at the detail level, at the process design, the product design level. And because that focus now from ISO 9001:2015 has centered on risk management, this is a tool that can help us to systematically mitigate those risks. Now, the only thing about FMEA in the past is that, again, the focus has been just as a tool, and that's how so many organizations have used it, just as a tool. But the requirements in the new standard, ISO 9001:2015, is not talking about the use of tools, but it's talking about a risk management system to systematically reduce risks throughout. So we need an ongoing system. That FMEA has to be a living document, and when new problems arise or new potential failures arise or are identified, then we need to reevaluate and refocus our attentions. Now, a lot of the actions that can come out of an FMEA can be the Kaizen events themselves. And so that you have that relationship, that very strong relationship between risk management, the FMEA, and then the Kaizen events, or even the smaller Kaizen activities, such as doing poka-yoke.
And Mike, let's take a look at risk from perhaps a higher level. I mean, you've talked about a concept that's probably unknown to a lot of people, Hoshin Kanri. What does Hoshin Kanri process teach the practitioner about proper planning and execution?
Well, Hoshin Kanri is a strategic policy deployment, and yes, you're right. To many people, maybe that's an unfamiliar term. But in a way, the concepts are not really unfamiliar, because ISO 9001 and in different parts of the standards have required the elements of what we do in Hoshin Kanri. Now, what's important about this is that, well, let me give you an alternative situation. So many times as a consultant, we're asked to come in and partake or facilitate an event, whether it's value stream mapping or 5S or whatever it might be, because someone within the organization heard about this fabulous tool and what it can do for the organization and the whole bit. And so oftentimes those are solutions, or they're leading to solutions. Like 5S is really kind of a solution to a problem. But we don't identify the problem. We don't know what the problem is. We just go ahead and blindly do 5S or total productive maintenance or whatever it might be. And that's not the right way to look at things. What we really need to do is to look at, well, what's important to the organization as a whole? What is the overall mission? What are the principles of the organization? And then develop the 3 to 5 key strategic objectives. Now, some of those objectives might be the mitigation of risks. So we identify those objectives, strategies, I should say. We identify those strategies at the very highest level. We deploy those throughout the organization. We deploy those in such a way where we look at strategies, the key strategies, tie them into objectives, tie those into our goals. And each level that we go down, we're going down into the depths of the organization. And then when we hit our goals, we have specific goals that we need to achieve. And how are we going to achieve those? Well, then maybe, yes, we achieve that through a 5S event. or we achieve that through a value stream mapping. But the point is that we want to link the tools of lean back to the strategies of the organization itself. So that when we choose to do Kaizen events, when we choose to do lean activities and develop that culture, we are gaining our true benefits to the organization, and we're not just haphazardly doing lean.
Because we're running a little late, but that's well said, and I think that we all should appreciate that. And I think everyone who's interested in this topic, which should be most of us, should check out the video series. Again, look at www.360performancecircle.com. You can also link out to episodes 29 and 30 in the series, which are just rolling off the assembly line, just out now, in Mike's article, which is below the video player screen right down there. So Mike, thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you down the road.
Thank you, guys.
See you, Mike.
Talk to you soon.
you